Our next speaker I'd like to introduce is Mike Lafromboise. Mike Lafromboise has been serving as the Piikani Studies Division Chair at the Blackfeet Community College for the last 3 years. His capacity is to oversee curriculum development for the Piikani Studies as well as Piikani language preservation and preparation on a Blackfeet Indian reservation. He holds a master's degree in education from the Montana State University Northern. He is an American Indian College Fund Andrew B. Mellon Fellow in research on the Blackfoot ceremonial process. He is a member of the Kinetsumitek's Brave Dog Society and is involved in all the ceremony activities that the Blackfoot people practice, including the Medicine Lodge, Sundance, Thunder Medicine Pipe, Beaver Bundle, and the caretaker of the Blacktail Deer Dance bundle that the Piikani people have adopted from the Salish and Kootenai peoples. Mr. Lafromboise has developed language applications for the Apple OS and Android phone platforms, as well as developed interactive websites for Piikani language. 30 Piikani language lessons were developed to fulfill the transfer requirements in the Montana University system. PKNI 141 and PKNI 142 are standalone language classes that are completely digitized and functional for any student interested in wanting to learn and transfer as a foreign language. In addition, Mr. Lafromboise has developed an Indian Education for All learning platform that is all online and covers the essential knowledge of what it means to be Piikani. I'd like to introduce Mr. Mike Lafromboise.
Okay. Iksoka pi kitsino tianok sistikoik. Tikota ti itota ti op akana pia 80 poe kiannum. Umakeikseni maastokkiup. Amu paksikoiks han. Afghanistan paksikoiks. Nistu annekok makwe sa pup. Muhtu tu skabi Piikani mi Piikani sakkui. Na sa matoyhko ma kikitsinskak makwe sa. Ditsapi ska simna Mike Lafromboise. Tapo takia umakeikseni maatstokkiup. Eskseni maatstokkiwa nitsita pia piki kannaka tsikski nitsipus. Piikani peita piisin. Amo ikseni maatstoksis kneita pia skabi Piikani. Okay. Na six matoma tapia ki matoihkomaaki ki pitaunista. Kakatu si tastani maatstokkiup. Ki inaksa po mo nato kioka sisata. Na nindawa sakuma kina ki niksista siksikaki. Kiannok sistikoik. Tsa itasksinip. Akkanai päitä piiskatup. Siksikäitstä piisinniu. Mo siksikäitä pia. Ikitsomi tuupi muut sahku. Ista päitä piup. Itsi potu kia. Akseiska tsiipi muut sahku. Ikitso tsi päitä piup. Manistu tuupia naapiikoiks. Ni tapäitä piup. Stomohtoi tuup. Naapipäitä piisinniu. Okay. Na entskiwa ke nitsiposin ki tuasin non sahko. Anni stapia siksikeitsta piisin. Mo ki tuasin non hanjawan ni ompikita piiks skutsik na ki tuasin non. Amito tse mo mistakist kinistia apatso tse misk. Amo omkoyes kinistia pinapo tse mo punnoka sisata ki kinistia amska po tse mo punnoka sisata ki amito tse mo takia sakko mo kitua sinno. Okay. Nistoi pomoawa istokimeks nepska kunnima. Na neokskannawa Punnix, ke kennix, ihpo makes. Itakspo mo sa stucky makes and apps kah kunnima. Okay. Kanatsu mitakes. Ni te kanatsu mitawa. Mi apatso pikaniwa na ninawa awagasina. Ainiso am skabi pikani o koka sinyo. Ika tonyo ke misins ke sisat anime o koka sinyo. Amok se matapiks, asitapiks, ihtaupiks na awagasina ani. Ihpo makes kanatsu mitakes. Kitakspo mo sa o koka siya skabi pikaniwa. Na ninawa ako tuwa awan na ihpo makes. Itakspo mo sa astuki makes kanatsu mitakes. Okay. Needs the pemix. Na isikatwa paskan mo pistan. Takaps. Na pitawonista. Kinik siya matoyoh kumaki. Matoma tapiwa ki inotokana ki ano ksistikoik nistua isikatwe paskan mo pistan. So today I introduced myself in Piikani language, and I just told you a little bit about who my family is and what I do, and my passion is language. And I was fortunate to grow up in a Blackfoot speaking, Piikani speaking home. And in hindsight, I should have listened more. But excuses they don't serve anything. So now today, I'm learning as much as I can, and I'll share as much as I can as long as I can. But that's my passion. But one of the questions, how do you know you're Blackfoot? How do you know? And one of my first research projects in undergrad was Blackfoot language on why is it not my community not speaking the language like I'd like to? What's the reason? And what I found out is that a lot of those old ladies that I interviewed and those older gentlemen, they said it was the church that said, don't speak the language. So today, we live in a dichotomy of Western society thought and in my case, Blackfoot ideology, Piikani ideology. And everything I tried to describe to you in my language is what elders say makes you Blackfeet or Piikani. There's today we have a system that says the physical documentation is a card with your picture and all your vital statistics, and it will tell you this is who you are. Tagakistu. This card? I don't know. Tagakistu means who are you? And that's a question we could be asking ourselves every day when we wake up and when we're grateful to be waking up. Who am I? And what do I want? Me, I want to promote language because there's so much to it than just okay, tanitapi. Or there's more to it than that. And I'll just give a brief, and I'll come back to these concepts. And all these are just concepts in my worldviews. Worldviews of how, what I'm saying. When we say, Atsamoykan, At Simoihkan. We're saying we're mouthing something holy. At Simma. At Simoihkan. Amotosimat. Amotosimat. It's the beginning, it's the start of something. Something moving up. I was always told growing up, I remember my grandma said, you be careful what you say. You can hurt somebody. You be careful what you ask for, you'll get it. So I thought, well, if bad words can hurt, good words can help. At Simoihkan. And there's a whole, when I listen to elders just talk about these two words, this is about a good 5-hour lecture just on this word. It's long. You can't just say this, that's what it is. There's a whole thing about it. So if this is smudge, for lack of a better word in English, amadosiman, when you put your smudge on, it's moving upward. At Simoihkan, when I'm speaking in an analog sound, right? Energy. I'm transferring energy from something to something. When my Aunt Gertie transferred me that blacktail, she said, when we all gather, we're focusing all of our energy on those people that need help. So you have to be careful what you say. You have to be careful how you conduct yourself, because those people depend on you. At Simoihkan, it's going up. When we pray, this young girl talked about prayer not dusi. Kukumikism. Ipisuats. Paksipisuats. All those things we pray to. These are indicators on our dwellings. This was pointed out in Maslow. Anybody study Maslow? And how they got... He spent time with Blackfoot people. And this is what he came up with according to his notes. This is all documented scientifically. Okay? What Maslow didn't see, and probably will never know unless he's listening in on us right now. In his stories, he viewed people that you need food, shelter, clothing as a base to feel good about yourself. Then you need safety and belongingness in your friendships, societies. And then you need your morals. At Simoihkan, it's going up to the cosmos, to these people that we ask for help. These beings, Spumita peaks, Sakomita peaks, Soita peaks, Nichita peaks, Amuksia, Nichita peaks. Anytime you hear the word tapi at the end of a word, it's a being. It's a being of some kind. And this process that the Creator give us, and when I explained in Blackfoot, that Creator put us right here. The concepts that we get, everything comes from the land. Without your land and your language and your songs and your ceremonies, who are you? Really, you have to ask yourself these types of things. If we live in that dichotomy, again, Western society, Piikani ideology. Everything over here is Piikani ideology thought. Western society is everything we're doing. We're all sitting in desks staring at the teacher. The pedagogy of the oppressed says, I know everything, you know nothing. I'll tell you what you need to know, so be quiet and listen. That's the pedagogy of the oppressed. Pedagogy of Blackfoot people is through our societies. How we learn through that process, through transfer. Transfer when you translate that, ihpom makes, or ihpomaksin, or ihpomwao. This means power. And because nobody's better than nobody, you have to have rights to these things. You have to go through the process. Anybody who graduated from the University of Montana or Montana State University, who give them the right to give you the piece of paper, that physical documentation of permission? When you get your driver's license, you have to go through a process, and you give the dude or the lady $40 and you say, I want the right to drive. You'll take a test, and if you pass with 80%, they'll give you this physical documentation. And if you drive and you don't follow the rules, the authorities are going to stop you and they're going to say, where is your physical documentation of permission? And if you don't have it, you're going to be in trouble. In Blackfoot thinking, our societies and our songs give you that permission. When you're transferred into a society and I'm acting out and someone says, hey, you can't be doing that. I said, yeah, I can. I belong to the Society of Drivers. Well, go ahead and sing their song, and when they meet, I'm going to tell them. And it'll be on you, not to. They'll deal with you how they're going to deal with you. So these concepts, they're not just arbitrary and made up. They come from time, beginning of time, in the timeline of life. This is now. This is 0 year, what? Jesus was born in 0 year? What is BC and AD? Scientifically documented Blackfoot people have been here for 10,000 years, way before that. So all the knowledge that they transfer down from these societies is all knowledge that comes from this time, from what I understand. So this knowledge predates Western thought, Western ideology of how we conduct ourselves. But yet, this Europeans just got here yesterday. Matonni, Johnny Tuanyo, Matonni, not be quakes. Expomokit. And it's in. Okay. They just got here yesterday. And here we are believing everything that they're telling us. When our knowledge has been here for way before this, but for their sake, 10,000 years. That Anzig boy they found was what, 12,000 years? Piikani. That's my belief. I always go to the 4 agreements. Always be impeccable with your word. Don't believe what anybody says. Always do your best. And then there's that 5th one. Don't believe what anybody tells you. So don't take my word for it. I could be full of it. It's up to you to find out what this is. What does it mean to you to be Piikani or whatever tribe you are? It's going to be up to you. But because we're believing in this physical documentation, this is what we're stuck with. And I might get in trouble for this, and I have before, but I get more benefits with my Costco card than this card. So that doesn't really, and anybody can make one of these up. But you can't make up songs. You can't make up ceremonies. You just can't go and say, hey, I got this song, I heard it, I'm gonna sing it. That's WhatsApps, they'll fix you somehow. So getting back to this Maslow in his notes, you need food, shelter, and clothing. On our teepees, sometimes these can be mountains, sometimes they could be hills, and sometimes it could be flat. Everything Creator give us comes from the land. All our subsistence economy comes from here. All of our concepts that we believe in come from the land. It's indicated on our dwellings. I would argue there's no other tribe in the universe that uses this or has their ceremonies intact. If there is, I'd like to see it. It'd be pretty interesting to see. Blackfoot people still have this transfer of these things. So you look at what he developed: food, shelter, clothing, safety, belonging, friendships, morals. On our teepee, we have stars that we pray to help Blackfoot people. We pray to these. On one side there's Ikichikamix, the other side is Miokpokois. Ipisuas on the back. There's a whole story on Scarface. Those are essential stories that we should be learning. We could be learning at a young age, so we know how to conduct ourselves. And when we say, well, who are you? Well, I'm Piikani. Well, how do you know? Well, let me tell you this story that comes from our history. We have many stories about crows, Crees, and in our stories we're always victorious. We stole all their horses. We never stole no women, they just followed us home. But that's a whole nother lecture. So this is what Maslow didn't see. He couldn't explain it. Even Whistler and David Duval, they did extensive ethnography work on Blackfeet on the outside looking in. And on the last page of his excerpt, he says, we've compiled all these ceremonies, but we don't have the capacity to talk about songs. That's a huge component of those. You cannot have this without the song. You cannot drive without your driver's license. You can't get a job without your degree, piece of paper. So without that song, none of these exist. Healing doesn't exist. Everything in the middle is what comes in your dreams. The late George Kickenwoman said, he says, Piikani, they're powerful people because they have the ability to see things in their dreams. And they have the ability to stop those things with what Creator give us. That's why we were always successful against Crees and Crows and Nez Perce and Shoshones in our stories. There was some defeats, but we don't really talk about those much. We're not really humble like that, Blackfoot. So you can see, when you get to the top, you can self-actualize. You're very confident as a person. Same thing. You have here, have all your belongingness, and this is where you get your morals. You have to have this in order to have any other transfer. This is where you store all of your transfer items, hold them in there. There's many things, so many tangents you can get on this with just this, and I can go any direction, and it always does in my lectures. But my point is that language is the most important key to this. The language perpetuates the culture, and the culture perpetuates the language. If you take away the culture in this dichotomy, within this paradigm of where we are, this is getting pushed back. It's getting pushed back more and more. Nobody wants to speak Blackfoot anymore in my early research. Now there is. I could say now there is. That was one of my goals, is going back to Browning after I graduated and helping out ceremonies, singing. I'm like, man, who's gonna sing these songs? who's gonna pick them up? I look down there and nobody's there to sit to sing. Nobody knows these. I was fortunate to sit with Joe Old Chief and Joe Eaglechild and Joe Bosses and Floyd Ryder, Donald Choate. Those are the guys I had to sit with. Buzzy knows that. I didn't even want to be there. I wanted to go outside and play. No, you sit there and listen. Listen to how those guys go. So now, I know all of them. I don't have to listen to a recorder. I just know all to sing them however. Now there's other people wanting to step up. And that was one of my goals. So I feel I can head out of Browning now if I want to, without having to think, well, who's going to help them out? The language too, Efforts, Cutswood School, my relative, Robert Hall, awesome. Jesse. They have an immersion school we went to the other night. Some awesome things happening. So with that grant monies we're using, developing more resources for them to use. But I was always told that go ahead and make your apps, but don't cut that speaker out. Don't cut the language speaker out because they have that connection. There could be, and one of my, Miss Bird, Miss Piikani, we were sitting there talking about moose. And she says, how do you say moose? I said, 62. She said, laughs. I said, no, 62. See, different versions already. What I understood that to be was black. I'm gonna go to town. 62, black coming to town. How did they know that? Because they didn't live in towns. But it just means something black coming into the opening. Those are the types of things that if you don't keep that language speaker out, you can make 1,000 apps, but if you don't have that speaker to impart that knowledge of that particular word variation, you're not gonna know the philosophy. And that's one of my biggest pushes as well, is to put the philosophy out there. So I always feel like I talk way too much. Is there any questions? Concerns, wants, needs, parking passes? So with that, I think,
what's your guys', has there been any surveys done on, how many fluent speakers that you have up there?
so on the rolls, there's 17,500 enrolled Blackfeet. Out of this many, I sat down when I first graduated from undergrad and I went back. And I sat there and I thought, who knows all these songs? Who could stand up without having to ask, hey, how does this song go? And there was a top tier of elders and then a next tier of younger, and then younger like Pat's age younger, those guys. And then younger. On this top one, there was probably about 25, 30. Now there's probably about 10. So all that knowledge that existed on that list is gone if they didn't share it. Now the next tier down, those are the next age group that are going to become elders, which is another term, elder. What is an elder? Make sure you feed those elders. You know, you're just looking for people with gray hair like me. That's not an elder. An elder could be someone that's 10 years old. That's a whole nother concept, meeting. Probably about what? 150 at the most, if that. Speakers. That's not good. Correct me if I'm wrong.
According to Carol Murray, the letter she sent
150. There's a lot that understand, but they don't want to speak. Why that is, I don't know. But they understand it quite a bit.
Because our language is not written.
That's part of it too. So that's not a good percentage.
So when you're teaching your language, do you teach with the, like he spoke with the guttural sound? I noticed today nowadays in the languages, just because I learned my husband's language is Sinhalese, a lot of the new speakers, the younger speakers, they're leaving out that guttural, and it's going,
Those
so
old,
we're losing like
yeah.
that cure you're talking about. Does
Right.
that happen in your language also?
yeah, they tell us we talk too plain. And there's no possible way I can go back to this time. I can only know what I know now. And I encourage all these other speakers just to start speaking. Just speak it. So we can hear it. So we can hear those emphasis on those things. 'Cause if you don't, then you're saying something else and they'll chastise you and ridicule you. What are you trying to say? That's another concept in my community is shame. There's a line. People get to that line and say, what's this guy trying to do? Who's this guy? I made a conscious effort about 20 years ago to say, I'm just gonna speak it, I don't care what people say. And I got that from Daryl Kipp, and I'm dressed like Daryl Kipp today, blue and khakis. But the shame line, this is a whole nother class of shame and guilt and why our community is the way it is. Because of this word. It's not a good word. Because as we pointed out here, if you have all these things, you could be confident in yourself. But when you take all those away, people will say, what you looking at? Well, I don't know, let's go outside, we'll figure it out. It's this first. There's no communication. Which gets me into Jürgens Habermas. Anybody ever studied him? Communicative sphere. That warrants some good study on language and how when you take the language base away, the economy fails. And when you strengthen it, it could, So those are some good research topics people can, again, I'm talking too much.
What's your app called?
My what?
Your app?
My app? Let's see. The first one I made it like in a day in a garage. And I launched it through iTunes. It's real basic, but it's out there. And the second one I made, it was an Android one. Again, it was real basic. Sixica has an app that's pretty comprehensive. And they use TMI, Thornton Media. Anybody ever see that one? It's pretty good. So we're working with school district perhaps, with those people that came in, to create an app for them, for all of us. Because deep down you guys are all Piikani. Just kidding. But they're on iTunes, Android, and then there's it's a long Piikani paid the piece.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Tupac? It says Thug Life. That's where I got that concept from, was Piikani paid the piece. Piikani life. But it's a long name, but amazing results with that.
It'll be in my talk on the PowerPoint. So you
Okay.
guys can copy down the website we worked on together,
Yeah.
and that'll be in there.
It's good. It just needs some updating. So. Okay.
So I'm actually just I have like 3 hats I work in. don't speak the language. My grandparents were fluent, but that wasn't passed on to my mother, it wasn't passed on to myself. And one of the things being new to the immersion program was the language society, I guess, group of people, and working with all these different organizations. And I'm not familiar with everybody else's tribe, but we're speaking in terms of the Blackfeet. There's really not a lot of communication that I've noticed because everybody's doing their own thing. The Head Start's doing their own thing. The college is doing their own thing. Public schools are doing their own thing. Cutswood's doing their own thing. And we are all striving towards the same goal, but we're not working together. And that's just the disconnect that I've been experiencing right now. And I wasn't even aware of, what was going on these other programs because, you get so focused on what you're doing. And I went into the Head Start to sign my child up, and I look on the front desk and there's like, we're offering language classes to parents. And I'm like, we're offering language classes to parents. And, so it's like we just haven't combined our efforts just because of the disconnect. And a lot of times I think Indian people tend to be like, this is mine, or programs tend to be like, this is mine. And, we need to just actually combine our efforts. And so with, Mike attending the immersion meeting the other evening that we had, and we have some connections now with Head Start. We just visited Cutswood Thursday and, made some connections there. So, now we kind of have this combined effort to work towards a common goal. And I'm, really excited because I think we can, working together, we could go a lot further than how we are and how we've been for years. This is how we've been for years and always. This isn't, something new. I mean, everybody's been doing this, and just combining our efforts now, I think that has been probably one of the biggest barriers for language because everybody is doing their own thing. So those are just my thoughts.
That's what I found out early on is what you just said. Head Start was doing this, schools were doing that, colleges doing this. It's just like herding cats and chickens, and it's not good because who are we? I mean, state of California took some land away from this tribe because they didn't use the land. They said, hey, what's this land here? Well, it's very important to us. We make this and this. Well, can you show us how to make it? Oh, we don't know how. So they just took the land. It doesn't even matter to them. Eminent domain. Very real. Okay. Done.